Hi everyone. So for my mindfulness activity, I decided to talk about the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 mindfulness activity, also known as like a good meditation skill and a good meditation exercise. I think this is a very effective mindfulness technique when you are working with clients who have high levels of anxiety. Sometimes you can even use it with clients who have depression. I think when using it with clients who have depression, it kind of helps them find and kind of think about some more positive things that they have in their life. So, for example, if a client is struggling with depression and you might say, "Oh, can you name 3 positive things that are going on in life right now?" And they might say, "Oh, I can't think of anything." And this is a kind of a good way to get them thinking and starting to talk about these, examples and things like that. Even if they are negative, it still just helps them, get their mind flowing and the descriptive words being able to come out. I think this is a really popular mindfulness technique. I actually learned about this from my clinical supervisor in my field practicum. And once he told me about it, I thought it was a great way to use it with clients who have anxiety and either just kind of initially come to the appointment and just need to find a baseline and kind of like level ground. I also think it's a very good technique to learn about somebody in general. So if you are assigned a new client and you're kind of not sure where to start off with them, it's a good idea to maybe use the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 to in order to be able to one, learn about them, two, gauge their feelings, and three, just overall just help them relax and kind of recenter focus for your guys' session, which I think is really nice. Um, a strength of this technique, I think, is there's no right or wrong answer, so it gives creative freedom and creative just like expression for clients. It makes them feel that they have maybe more control of their feelings because they're able to describe it. Another strength would be that it is kind of universal with all clients that you are seeing. Um, like I mentioned before, it's really good with clients who have depression and anxiety, but I would say that this can be used overall as a platform for all clients, especially on the initial first visits. A weakness of this form of mindfulness might be that it is limiting to single words. Um, like if, for example, if you say, for two things you can smell, I can smell grass and I can smell coffee, for example. It kind of leaves it like very blunt and close ended, but I feel like that's a good entryway to begin a conversation and to continue on the conversation as to, oh, like what other memories do you have of coffee? Does it bring you back to your childhood? Are those happy memories? Those are good, kind of like a stepping stone as to where you could take that conversation. Um, I think it is good to use it again for any like grounding techniques, meditation exercise. Kind of the client comes in, is having a hectic week or is feeling super anxious. I think it's really helpful for that. I would also recommend it when outside of hours with clients. So, for example, if you have a session and you kind of can assign it to them as like a homework assignment, and say, before the night it's over, you're laying in bed, like about to fall asleep, use the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 technique to kind of recenter yourself. I think that could be really helpful for some of the clients. The first time I had used this personally in my own, practice with clients, it was with one of my clients, and she showed up to session very anxious, and it was kind of very fidgety and kind of all over the place. And I kind of introduced this to her. We did some breathing exercises first, and I was able to show her the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 technique. And I saw significant improvement throughout the rest of the session, which I thought was really interesting because it really helped her, recenter, refocus, and kind of set the overall pace for the rest of the session, which was really helpful to me. And after using that, it kind of opened my eyes as to take into consideration these mindfulness techniques and how well it can be for practice. Also for myself, at the end of the day, it's a really good recap as to how my days went and, just kind of checking in with myself. So for the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 meditation or mindfulness exercise, the first step that I like to do personally is to just do a few deep breaths in and out with the client to, make them feel comfortable. And the first step would be to calmly scan the surroundings to, think about what I'm about to ask for a second. And the first step is to answer 5 things that you can see. This can be right in front of you. This can be like when you close your eyes, what you see, things like that. Step 2 would be kind of turn on your awareness cap and 4 things that you can touch. So, your arm, your watch, table, anything like that to kind of recenter yourself to your senses. Step 3 would be to activate your conscious listening. And the next question would be to ask the client 3 things that they can hear. Now this one gets a little tricky, but it's kind of a little fun. The 4th step would be to ask the client 2 things that they smell. This one I also feel is a little tricky and it kind of gets clients, but it makes them think out of the box, which is really fun. And then the final step is for us as therapists to ask our client 1 thing that they can taste. And this one's always kind of funny because you can tell that clients get a little awkward sometimes answering this one. But again, it makes them purposely go back and reflect on their day and just kind of how they're doing and checking in with themselves. And I think that's really important when you are trying to reach center and kind of focus on basically how you're feeling in that moment. And I think it's very helpful to focus on these 5 things and kind of put away all the other chaos or feelings or this kind of emotions that you might have felt overwhelmed with coming into the session.